Hey everyone, it's Fatima here, 26 female, and today I'm going to share with you the story of how I put my cheating husband, Carlos, in jail. Now, before we dive into the juicy details, let me give you a little background. You see, in the past, my ex-lovers would label me as crazy because of my antics. But here's the thing, they conveniently forgot to mention the things that they did to push me to that point. It's like they expected me to sit back and accept their betrayal without any consequences. Whenever I found out about their infidelity, my initial reaction would be to seek revenge. And let me tell you, I get pretty creative with it. I would cheat back, embarrass them in public, and even expose their secrets to their friends and family. But here's the thing. None of those actions ever satisfied the deep hurt and anger I felt inside. It was like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. So what did I do? I resorted to slashing their tires, putting Jolly Ranchers on their windows so when they'd pull it off it would crack, burning their clothes, cutting tongues out of their sneakers. I did everything in the book, and still I would find that these men would cheat on me one after the other. I got sick and tired of it, as you can imagine. But then I met my knight in shining armor. Let me take you back to the time when I met Carlos, the man who would change my perspective on love. Carlos came into my life like a breath of fresh air. He was different. He was patient, understanding, and he never made me feel like my emotions were crazy or unwarranted. We hit it off right away, and before I knew it, we were dating for 2 solid years. Those 2 years were filled with so much love, laughter, and support. I finally felt like I had found the one person who would break the cycle of cheating that had haunted me for so long. So we decided to tie the knot and make it official. Our wedding day was a beautiful celebration surrounded by our loved ones. But just when I thought I had finally escaped the clutches of infidelity, life decided to throw me another curveball. Carlos's father, James, passed away, and as we were mourning his loss, we discovered a shocking secret. It turned out that James had been having an affair with a woman named Mia. Can you believe it? It felt like déjà vu, like history was repeating itself. Needless to say, it hit our family hard. My mother-in-law, Sasha, was devastated by the revelation, and I couldn't help but feel that sinking feeling in my gut. It was like the universe was playing some cruel joke on me, constantly putting cheaters in my life, some way, somehow. As soon as the truth about James's affair came out, I knew I had to be there for my mother-in-law, Sasha. I mean, come on. I had dealt with so many cheaters in the past that it felt like it was my duty to comfort her. So I sat her down and said, Sasha, I know this sucks, but trust me, we'll get through this together. She looked at me with watery eyes and said, Fatima, how did you handle all those cheating jerks from your past? I've never experienced a heartbreak like this. I grabbed her hand and replied, It wasn't easy. It took time to heal. But here's the thing. Their messed up actions don't define us. We're strong, and we're going to come out even stronger from this mess. I get you, but I just want to break something. I understand you. Trust me. If you want, you can break his things. What? You can burn his clothes if you want to. Do something, anything that will make you feel better. I never thought that that would make me feel better, but the thought of it is already exciting. Oh, honey, wait till I tell you about the golf clubs. Those bad boys pack a hit. We spent hours just pouring our hearts out to each other, sharing stories of heartbreak, anger, and resilience. It was during those talks that I realized Sasha and I had a lot in common. We were both feisty and had this fire inside us that couldn't be extinguished. Our bond grew tighter as we navigated this emotional roller coaster. All right, y'all, buckle up because things took a crazy turn. After all the healing and bonding with Sasha, life seemed to be returning to normal. We were on the path of healing and forgiveness. But as with my life, crap, yet again, hit the fan. It was a regular day, just doing some laundry, minding my own business, and that's when I saw it. A freaking lipstick stain on Carlos's collar. I swear my heart stopped for a moment. I knew deep down that he must have been cheating on me. Years of experience taught me that after all. The anger that welled up inside me was like nothing I had ever experienced before. I stormed into the living room, holding the stained shirt in my hand, ready to unleash my fury. Carlos looked at me confused and said, "What's going on, babe?" I could barely control my rage. I shouted, "Don't play dumb, Carlos. I found this lipstick stain on your collar. Are you cheating on me?" He looked shocked and denied it, saying it must have been some mistake. But my gut told me otherwise. The betrayal I felt at that moment was crushing. I couldn't believe that the man I thought was different, who showed me love and kindness, could be capable of such deceit. I couldn't contain my anger. I told him to get out, and after some minutes of arguing, he left. I started breaking things in the room, letting out my frustration, and then I did something I never thought I would do. I called Sasha and spilled the beans. I told her about Carlos's infidelity, emphasizing that the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Sasha was devastated to hear this. She had been through her share of pain and betrayal, and now her son was following in his father's footsteps. I could hear the anger and disappointment in her voice as she said, "Fatima, I can't believe Carlos would do something like this. After all we've been through, this is just heartbreaking." I spent the entire night crying and the days afterward as well. I was ignoring Carlos's calls and I was getting ready to leave his behind for good. But first, I needed to wallow in my sadness. So there I was, feeling upset and drowning my sorrows in tubs of ice cream. I just couldn't believe that Carlos, the guy I thought was different, had betrayed me like this. My phone would ring non-stop with his calls, but I had no interest in answering. I needed time to process my emotions and figure out what to do next. Then, one day, my phone rang again, and it was Sasha. It was ironic being comforted by the mother of the man who broke my heart, but I welcomed any comfort regardless of where it was coming from. She sounded concerned and caring, telling me that Carlos deeply regretted his actions and wanted to come back home. I wanted to shut her down, to tell her that he didn't deserve my forgiveness, but she pleaded with me, speaking from a place of maternal love and understanding. "Sasha, I don't know if I can do it. He promised me he'd never hurt me, and yet here we are again." Sasha's voice softened, and she spoke with a wisdom that only comes with experience. "Fatima, my dear, life is too short to hold on to anger and resentment. If James was still here, I'd give anything to have the chance to rebuild our relationship, to start anew. Forgiveness is a gift, and you have the power to mend what's broken. Don't waste it." Her words resonated with me. Despite the pain I felt, I couldn't deny that life was unpredictable. Tomorrow wasn't promised, and I didn't want to spend my days consumed by bitterness. Sasha's plea touched my heart, reminding me that love and forgiveness had the power to heal even the deepest wounds. With a deep sigh, I finally spoke, my voice laced with vulnerability. "Okay, Sasha. Tell Carlos to come home. We have a lot to talk about, and I hope he's ready to face the consequences of his actions." Sasha sounded relieved, grateful that I was giving Carlos a chance. "Thank you, Fatima. You're a strong woman, and I believe in both of you. Love can conquer even the toughest challenges if you're willing to work through it." After that call, I wiped away my tears and took a deep breath. It was time to face Carlos, to have an honest conversation and see if our love could withstand this storm. Forgiving him didn't mean forgetting or excusing what he did, but it meant giving ourselves a chance to heal and rebuild trust. So Carlos came back home and we sat down to have a serious conversation. I looked into his eyes, searching for any sign of sincerity and remorse. He admitted his mistake, confessing that it was a one-time thing and that he deeply regretted it. He promised me that it would never happen again. I didn't know whether to believe him or not. The trust had been shattered and rebuilding it wasn't going to be easy. But I also remembered the love we had shared, the good times we had experienced together. I knew deep down that I still cared for him and wanted to find a way to move forward. With a heavy heart, I decided to give our relationship another chance. We both knew that it wouldn't be smooth sailing from there. Rebuilding trust takes time and effort, and we were ready to put in the work. So a month passed and things appeared to be getting better between Carlos and me, but deep down I knew that I couldn't just blindly trust him again. I had my doubts and wanted to ensure that he was keeping true to his word of loyalty. That's when I decided to take matters into my own hands. Without Carlos knowing, I installed some security cameras around the house. It may sound a bit sneaky, but I needed to protect myself and make sure I wasn't being fooled again. One day, while I was at work, the thought crossed my mind to check the security footage. It had become a routine for me, a way to ease my worries and keep a watchful eye. Little did I know that what I was about to see would shatter any glimmer of hope I had left. As I scanned through the footage, my heart sank. There he was, Carlos with another woman. But what struck me even more was the familiarity she had with our home. It was as if she had been there before, effortlessly moving around, knowing where everything belonged. The sight infuriated me to the core. "Babe, do you want a drink?" "Yeah, sure, thanks." Anyone watching this would think that this was any other old random couple doing a couple of things, but that was my husband. I continued watching, unable to tear my eyes away from the painful truth unfolding before me. They were getting too close for comfort, engaging in intimate gestures that should have been reserved for me alone. The betrayal cut deep, stirring up a mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief. At that moment, I wanted to set fire to the whole building. The rage inside me was consuming, fueling a desire for revenge. But I knew deep down that I couldn't let myself succumb to that darkness. I had to stay composed and find a different approach to hurting Carlos the way he hurt me. I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't want any innocent bystanders in the office incurring my fury, so I did something that I've been doing for a while now. I called Sasha. I was desperate to share the heartbreaking truth with her. As the words spilled out of my mouth, I could sense the shock and devastation in her voice. She was feeling what I felt, and I knew she understood the depth of the pain I was experiencing. Sasha's voice quivered as she spoke, assuring me that she was just as angry as I was. She couldn't believe that Carlos had betrayed me once again, tearing apart the trust we had been trying to rebuild. It was like reopening old wounds, and the pain was unbearable. "Oh my God, Fatima, I don't even know what to say. My heart is hurting for you." "I don't know, Sasha. It's like my heart has been ripped apart all over again. I wish I had gotten my revenge and left him when I had the chance. Now I'm left broken." Sasha's voice quivered as she spoke, assuring me that she was just as angry as I was. She couldn't believe that Carlos had betrayed me once again, tearing apart the trust we had been trying to rebuild. It was like reopening old wounds, and the pain was unbearable. "Fatima, I'm so sorry. This is devastating. You didn't deserve any of this. I can't believe he would hurt you like this again, after everything. Inexcusable. It feels like a nightmare I can't wake up from. I trusted him. And he shattered that trust all over again. In a voice filled with sorrow, Sasha apologized profusely. She was sorry for everything I had been through, for the pain Carlos had inflicted upon me. She was even sorry for telling me to take the high road. She concluded that she no longer trusted men, not even her own flesh and blood. The depth of her anger resonated with me, and I found solace in knowing that I wasn't alone. Thank you, Sasha. Your support means everything to me. I don't know how I would get through this without you. As the conversation continued, I confided in Sasha, sharing my thoughts and desires for justice. I wanted to teach Carlos a lesson, to make him understand the consequences of his actions. I couldn't let him believe he could continue hurting me without any repercussions. We can't let him get away with this. Together, we will make sure he faces the consequences. Oh my God, Sasha, I'm sorry to say this, but I might murder your son. I can't deal with the cheating anymore. Fatima, trust me on this one. Don't do anything. What? How can you tell me that? I need my justice. And you'll get your justice, dear. Don't you worry. Just trust me. She told me her plan, and after hearing her out, I decided to comply. I realized that she was a savage. Her plan for revenge was so crazy, and if we managed to pull it off, it would sufficiently satisfy me. As I hung up the phone, a mix of emotions swirled within me. Anger, sadness, and determination merged into a single force, propelling me forward. I knew that I couldn't let Carlos get away with his actions. It was time to take matters into my own hands and make him face the consequences. I left work early, allowing Sasha's plan to be set in motion. When I arrived in my neighborhood, I deliberately parked near a nearby park, allowing me full viewing access to witness what was about to happen. I waited for a couple more minutes, and then I heard the beautiful sound of police sirens. That was it. I watched as the police stormed my house, breaking down the front door, and only moments later dragging out both Carlos and his mistress. As the police arrested Carlos and his mistress, the onlookers whispered and stared, creating a scene that neither of them could escape. I sat in my car, watching it all unfold, a mix of emotions running through me. Part of me felt a sense of satisfaction knowing that justice was being served, but another part of me couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness for the end of our once promising relationship. The police escorted them into separate cars, and they were screaming and shouting the entire time, saying that they didn't do anything, and soon enough the street returned to its usual calm. I took a deep breath and stepped out of my car, making my way towards the now broken front door of our home. It was a stark reminder of the shattered trust and the deception that had unfolded within those walls. As I walked through the debris, I couldn't shake the feeling of disappointment. I had believed in Carlos, in our marriage, and in the promise of a future together. But his actions had shattered that illusion, leaving me questioning everything I thought I knew about him. The pain weighed heavy on my heart. But deep down, I knew that I deserved better than a partner who couldn't stay faithful. Sasha and I had concocted a plan to frame them for possessing illegal firearms and a stash of drugs. It was a risky move, and I knew deep down that if we were to get caught, it would be the end. But in the heat of the moment, the desire for revenge clouded my judgment, and we went ahead with the plan anyways. As the hours went by, I imagined the fear and confusion that must have consumed Carlos and his mistress during their intense interrogations. Sasha and I had created a scenario that would make them sweat, even though it was all fabricated. I knew it was wrong, but at that moment I found some twisted satisfaction in the thought of them experiencing a taste of their own medicine. In the midst of my excitement, I left work early to witness the unfolding drama. I had envisioned the entire scene in my mind, imagining the look of shock and disbelief on their faces as they realized the severity of the accusations against them. It was a cruel plan, and I couldn't deny the thrill it brought me. True to Sasha's prediction, Carlos used his one phone call to reach out to either me or his mother. And guess who he called? Hello? Fatima, thank God you picked up. I don't know what's going on, but I've been arrested. Oh, my goodness. What did you do? I didn't do anything. I was just at home. At home? Why weren't you at work? It doesn't matter right now. Just come get me, please. Please explain to them that we don't have any firearms or any drugs. Firearms? Drugs? What have you done, Carlos? I didn't even do anything. I was just with Avery. Avery? Who's that? I was cheating, okay? I'm so sorry, Fatima. I was with Avery, and then all of a sudden the police came, and the rest is a blur. Come get me. I'm so sorry for breaking your trust. I promise you that this was the last time. I just have one question, and if you answer honestly, I'll come get you. Did you ever stop cheating? Fatima, please. Was it always her? Yes, and yes. Good luck in jail. I ended the call, leaving Carlos to face the reality of his situation. I reveled in his humiliation and confusion. I couldn't help but laugh. I had called his mother and told her what had happened, and as much as she was sad to put her son in jail, she believed that a couple of hours in the slammer would teach him a thing or two about being a cheating dirtbag. As he was rotting in jail, I began packing my things. I thanked Sasha for all of her love and support as the days went by, and the day he returned home after being granted bail, he found an unsigned and typed note that read, "It was me all along, sweetie. I was the one who put you in jail." No doubt, he was surprised to see that he not only lost his wife, but also gained an enemy, not knowing that we were one and the same.